Chapter 1.6.8 Volume Snapshots. A volume snapshot in Kubernetes represents a storage system volume snapshot, assuming familiarity with persistent volumes in Kubernetes. Introduction. The Kubernetes API provides resources such as volume snapshot content and volume snapshot to create volume snapshots for both users and administrators. Volume snapshot content represents a snapshot taken from a volume provisioned by an admin, similar to persistent volume. Volume snapshot is a user's request for a snapshot of a volume, similar to persistent volume claim. Volume snapshot class allows specification of attributes specific to a volume snapshot, which can differ among snapshots from the same volume on the storage system. Volume snapshots allow standardized copying of a volume's contents at a specific time, useful for database backups before modifications. To use volume snapshots, users should be aware that volume snapshot content, and volume snapshot class are custom resource definitions, CRDs, and not part of the core API. Support for volume snapshot is only available for CSI drivers. The deployment process involves a snapshot controller for creation and deletion of snapshot content, a CSI snapshotter sidecar helper container, and a validating webhook server for stricter validation on snapshot objects. It is the responsibility of Kubernetes distributions to install CRDs and the snapshot controller, while CSI drivers may use the CSI snapshotter for snapshot support. Life cycle of a volume snapshot and volume snapshot content. Volume snapshot contents are resources in the Kubernetes cluster that carry details of real volume snapshots on the storage system. Volume snapshots are requests for these resources and follow a life cycle that includes provisioning, binding, protection, and deletion. Volume snapshots can be provisioned either pre-provisioned or dynamically. In pre-provisioned provisioning, a cluster administrator creates volume snapshot contents that are available for use by cluster users. In dynamic provisioning, a snapshot is taken from a persistent volume claim based on parameters specified in the volume snapshot class. The binding of a volume snapshot object with a volume snapshot content object is handled by the snapshot controller, ensuring a one-to-one mapping. Protection mechanisms are in place to prevent data loss when taking snapshots from in-use persistent volume claim objects. Deletion of volume snapshots triggers the deletion policy, either deleting the underlying storage snapshot along with the volume snapshot content object or retaining both. Volume snapshots. Volume snapshot contains a spec and a status, with persistent volume claim name being the required field for dynamically provisioning a snapshot. By specifying the name of a volume snapshot class with volume snapshot class name, a particular class can be requested. If nothing is set, the default class is used if available. For pre-provisioned snapshots, specifying a volume snapshot content name as the source is necessary. This field is required for pre-provisioned snapshots. In summary, volume snapshot contains necessary fields for dynamically provisioning a snapshot, requesting a specific class, and specifying the source for pre-provisioned snapshots. Volume snapshot contents. Each volume snapshot content contains a spec and status. In dynamic provisioning, the snapshot common controller creates volume snapshot content objects. The volume handle field is necessary for dynamically provisioning a snapshot and specifies the unique identifier of the volume created on the storage backend. For pre-provisioned snapshots, the cluster administrator is responsible for creating volume snapshot content objects. The snapshot handle field is needed for pre-provisioned snapshots and specifies the unique identifier of the volume snapshot created on the storage backend. The source volume mode field indicates the mode of the volume whose snapshot is taken, either file system or block. The volume snapshot ref field is the reference of the corresponding volume snapshot, even if it does not exist yet when creating pre-provisioned snapshots. Converting the volume mode of a snapshot. The Volume Snapshots API on a cluster may support the source volume mode field, which can prevent unauthorized users from changing the mode of a volume. To check if this feature is available, run a specific command. Users can create a persistent volume claim from a volume snapshot with a different volume mode by adding a specific annotation. Cluster administrators need to populate spec.sourceVolumeMode for pre-provisioned snapshots. An example volume snapshot content with this feature enabled is provided. Provisioning volumes from snapshots. To create a new volume pre-filled with data from a snapshot, use the Data Source field in the Persistent Volume Claim object. Refer to Volume Snapshot and Restore Volume from Snapshot for further instructions on provisioning volumes with existing data.